The CEO of one of those energy companies, Good Energy's Nigel Pocklington, is here with me now. Nigel, hello. Thanks very much for coming in.
Pleasure.
Just tell me, first off, how difficult is it for your customers right now to be keeping up with their payments to you?
It is difficult, and it's a source of great anxiety. We're lucky not yet to have seen the position that the Uswitch survey talks about. We've still got people with a variety of sort of credit balances, but we see an extraordinary amount of anxiety about what's coming. A lot of calls into our call centres with people asking, what their bill will be come December. Frankly, every communication from us to our customers at the moment creates alarm because people just know it's a big problem.
How many of your customers are in arrears, do you know?
We're a public company and we sort of update the market reasonably frequently. So the last position we gave was actually that our credit balances are pretty stable. We're quite a specialist supplier. We supply a 100% green product. It tends to attract a slightly more affluent consumer. So we haven't yet got this problem, but if we get towards £4,400 without any government support, that's a very different place to be.
Yeah, and let me ask you about that in a moment, but there is this movement, 100,000 people are now signed up to it, to cancel all direct debits to energy companies like yours from the 1st of October, a mass non-payment. What sort of effect would that have on your company?
It would be very difficult because as soon as people stop paying us, we're still paying for the energy. So you create a cash flow problem. We can, like any company, you can withstand that for a while. We've made sure we've got a big buffer on the balance sheet to do that, but you create extra administration, extra cost. And the worst part of this, I think, and the thing that isn't really coming through this debate, is you put a bigger burden on the people who are paying because those bad debt costs get picked up and just transferred to other people.
What do you want the government to do and when?
They need to act now, and frankly, there is little sign of a government yet taking this seriously enough. You heard Martin Lewis there, and he's not exaggerating. I know he's a very effective communicator, but we have a coronavirus scale issue here in terms of impact on household budgets and well-being without any sort of coronavirus scale response. And I think we need to hear well before the cap announcement on the 26th of August and certainly the new government on the 5th of September what they're prepared to do, because people are beginning to change their behaviour now and businesses are beginning to change their behaviour now. And in this vacuum that we've got, things like the Don't Pay campaign are beginning to sort of take up space.
And you're worried that may get serious traction unless the government does something. But the government, of course, say back to you, we've no idea what bills will be yet because that's set by Ofgem on August the 26th. And those bills won't even come in until the 1st of October. So why are you worrying?
That's just not the case. So the bill setting process is an observation window about the forward price of energy. And the observation window for October finishes in a couple of weeks' time. We're almost through the process. Mathematically, there's no way this can move by more than about 5%. So we absolutely know they're going up to these kind of levels in October. We've got a little more uncertainty around December, but any sign of them not doing that will depend on what Vladimir Putin does with gas supplies into Western Europe over the winter, which is a big thing to sort of bet on. So, no, these numbers are real, they're definitely coming, and we need action now.
And when you say companies and consumers are changing their behaviour right now, what do you mean?
It would mean sort of changing their budgets because they know that their energy prices are moving up. Don't forget, business energy customers aren't subject to the price cap, and they're therefore already seeing these very high rates in the marketplace. And households we can see beginning to adjust their spending patterns as well as a sort of general level of anxiety because they have a fear of what's coming.
Well, energy company bosses are meeting the Chancellor Nadine Zahawi tomorrow. Now, I couldn't help notice, Nigel, in the corner of the studio when you waited to come on, you were shaking your head vigorously when I vented his suggestion that there may be a little profit margin to shave off some of these companies, especially renewable companies who are not subject to those big international rises in the price of gas.
So it is true that the input cost of renewables is much lower. In fact, we've just done a series of auctions for new renewable sites and the cost is about a quarter of what the current electricity price is. The problem is the energy system in the UK means that the price is set by the marginal cost of the last person coming on stream, and that is always gas or coal stations. As a renewable company boss, I would love nothing more than to see the two separated because we could charge a very different tariff. But to change this is an extraordinarily complex process of unpicking the way the energy grid has worked in this country really since privatisation. BEIS have actually got a consultation paper out on this right now and expecting that to run through into the winter. So normally you'd expect action on this in sort of 2024. So it's the right direction, but the chance of somebody doing something in time for this winter on that basis are very thin indeed.
All right. In your view, all roads lead to the government and the government spending What sort of figure are we talking about here to get everyone back into the ability to pay their bills and not just totally default? Billions or tens of billions?
It's tens of billions. I mean, the figure,
Tens of billions.
the figure, for example, to pull back the winter rises back to where we are now is about £30 billion. So it is an extraordinarily significant amount of money in that respect. But similarly, if you don't do that, you just get into a problem of complete inability to pay for millions of households. I think, one of the key figures that's come out during the last couple of days is that £4,400 cap figure in January is 45% of the state pension. So how on earth we would expect anybody to live with 45% of their income just going out on energy bills alone? Of course we can't. And that is why this is beyond just put pressure on the energy companies, shave a bit off the margin. It's a big structural issue caused by a war, and it needs government intervention.
OK. Nigel Pocklington, Chief Executive of Good Energy.